Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for this new edition of Business Africa. On our show today we follow the continent's progress towards food self-sufficiency, and we look at Southern Africa's efforts to address electricity shortages. But first, let's get on with the show with our top stories today. Processing, producing and ensuring food self-sufficiency for its fellow citizens. This is the dream come true of Okapi Agribusiness in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
That's how we started with processing, but we support them through agricultural cooperatives. We escort farmers and breeders because they provide us with the raw materials.
Goodbye to fuel and generators. Solar panels make a triumphant arrival in Gabonese villages.
Le groupe électrogène nous revenait cher.
The generator was expensive because in terms of diesel, to run the structure, you need milliliters.
Beaucoup de litres.
Less watering, fewer pests and more fresh fruits and vegetables. Greenhouse farming is delivering in Somalia. Some vegetables were from Nairobi, but they are available now in Mogadishu. In our country, we can get the best fresh products that last for a very long time. Food self-sufficiency as a prerequisite for economic development and even the return of peace. Bernard Bahati, a Congolese entrepreneur in the east of the DRC, is convinced of this. In his province of North Kivu, now ravaged by the war between the Congolese armed forces and the M23 rebels, the agricultural sector is badly affected. This is why Bernard Bahati has decided to contribute to tackle food insecurity of the region with his maize processing factory, which employs 50 people and which he funded himself. The Okapi Agribusiness, a valuable support for farmers and breeders. Take a look. The Okapi Agribusiness flour mill is located in the Bujovo district in Goma, a few meters from the border between Rwanda and the DRC. Maize from different territories in North Kivu, South Kivu, Tanganyika and other regions of the DRC is stored here before being processed. Okapi Agribusiness is a 100% Congolese agri-food processing plant with a production capacity of more than 50 tons of flour daily.
We noticed that we were only mentioned in bad times because when you type Congolese youth on the internet or the east of the DRC, the images were only about war, conflict, rape. We thought, why can't we give a good image of our country? Of course there are young people who are in armed groups, but not all young people. There are also young entrepreneurs like us who do good for the nation and other citizens' well-being.
Bernard Bahati, this 37-year-old Congolese entrepreneur, has kept the city of Goma afloat in the face of the hurricane that has shaken it for several months, particularly due to the war between the armed forces of the DRC and the M23 rebels. More than 87% of the population of Goma consumes maize flour. Unfortunately, the territory of Rutshuru, the largest producer of maize in the province, is at war. Relations between neighboring countries, including Rwanda and Uganda, must be improved for the population to get supplies. Fortunately, the Okapi factory still had maize in stock, so the town is always supplied.
We wanted to create an ecosystem to impact every economic strata of the province or the country. That's how we started with processing, but we support them through agricultural cooperatives. We escort farmers and breeders because they provide us with the raw materials. We teach them how to produce in quality and quantity. Maize is produced here in North Kivu and sent abroad to be processed and returned to us as flour. Why can't we process this maize here at home and sell it at an affordable price to the population? So we decided to start with something.
The incidence of poverty in the DRC averages 80%, and the unemployment rate is 84%. But what is notable is that this company employs more than 50 young Congolese. Its agricultural and veterinary engineers train farmers and breeders in the methods to be used for better production. Jean Mouloumé is one of these trainers, an agricultural engineer who enjoys his work and dreams big.
A year ago, I didn't have a plot of land. But with Okapi, thanks to my work here, I bought a plot of land and I plan to build a house thanks to my job at Okapi. With this job, I feel that my children's future will be better. Before, my wife did not have a job and stayed at home, but now she can afford to have an occupation thanks to what I earn here at Okapi Agribusiness.
Some farmers in the region, such as Elian Muchindi, who have benefited from the support of OKP's team, are producing both in quality and quantity. Elian and his whole family benefit from this work. Surrounded by fields of maize, soya, manioc, colocasia, high cabbage and potatoes. Muchindi seems to have learned the lesson well. However, he laments the impact of the war that is blocking the province. Peace must return so that he can continue to evacuate his produce to the country's major cities.
I harvest bags of soya and maize, which I take to the factory to earn a living and ensure my family's survival. I take advantage of the sombe and also the cassava flour that my wife sells on the road. We eat and live very well here as far as food is concerned, but we are afraid of the war because many people have fled this village. I wish the war would end immediately so we can continue cultivating and enjoying our fields. If the war ends, we can return to our old life.
According to Bernard Bahati, the first phase of the OKP agribusiness project, which focuses on maize flour, cost $1,467,000. The second phase is planned to manufacture soft drinks and frozen potatoes. It will require an additional investment of $2.5 million. The overall project, including packaging, preservation and trade towards other cities in the country, is valued at $7 million. An example of entrepreneurial courage and a demonstration that food security could soon be within reach in eastern Congo. Access to electricity is an increasingly pressing issue in South Africa. The difficulties of the public operator Eskom have led to rolling blackouts that can last up to 10 hours. The city of Cape Town has decided to take action, and to counteract the blackouts and their impact on economic activity, the municipality will turn to hydroelectric power. The city wants to increase the capacity of the existing 180 megawatt steam brass power plant. It is also studying the installation of a 50 to 60 megawatt solar power plant. And meanwhile, in Zimbabwe, drought is affecting the electricity generated by the Lake Kariba hydroelectric plant. To deal with the consequences of climate change, the solution could come from the sun. The China Energy Engineering Group has proposed the construction of solar farms made up of photovoltaic panels. They would be installed on 146 floating modular units on Lake Kariba, a project estimated to cost around $1 billion. And as you can see, the solar energy revolution is underway across Africa. In recent years, the continent is moving away from traditional fossil fuels and towards renewable energy. More and more solar panels are bringing electricity to rural communities, transforming the lives of millions of households. This is the case in Gabon, where our correspondent Jean-Vis Dabani followed the technicians of the startup Eco Gabon, who are bringing this new infrastructure to the villages. In this dugout canoe lies the future. Solar kits imported from Asia are changing the lives of rural communities. Jeremy and his team travel to villages to install solar panels. Today they are on their way to visit a new client. Built on the banks of the river Ogooué, this hotel complex was previously powered by diesel. Today, powered by solar panels on the hotel roof, These lithium accumulators linked to these boxes will allow a 52-inch plasma television, freezers, and even a 2-horsepower air conditioner. All day long, the solar panels store energy to produce light at night, light for progress, light for the future, light simply for cooking day and night.
Nous avons une réservation au moins de 40 personnes.
We have a reservation of at least 40 people from the World Bank. They have gone on a trip to Ogooué and everything will be ready when they arrive.
Comme je dis toujours, grâce au solaire, parce que nous pouvons préparer.
But thanks to solar, we can prepare before they arrive thanks to the light to put on music, power the projector, and solar fans. Thanks to solar.
Grâce au solaire. Franchement,
and frankly, it helps us at all levels.
À tous les niveaux. Donc là, je vous fais un sanglier dans son.
Right now, I'm cooking a wild boar with sauce for the tourists who have gone for a walk. When they come back, everything will be ready.
Tout serait prêt. Et si on n'avait pas du.
If we didn't have solar power, we would have to work in the shade, we would still have to use the generator and to spend money. Very expensive. Solar energy saves us money, especially on fuel for the generator, etc.
The idea to innovate came from this man. Few people like him are trying to conquer the solar market in the middle of the countryside. The costs and distances are too high. However, this did not discourage the accountant from turning to these small panels, which now change everything and save him from spending money on diesel.
Le groupe électrogène nous revenait.
The generator was expensive because in terms of diesel, to run the structure, you need many liters.
Fonctionner cette structure beaucoup de litres. Et nous avons pensé qu'avec l'énergie solaire, même si...
And we thought that with solar energy, even if the investment is heavy at the beginning, today, by using solar energy,
en utilisant les énergies solaires, nous avons moins de...
we have less expenses in terms of consumption and the cost of diesel.
Et du règlement du kérosène.
The installation of solar panels in rural areas has become the focus of the startup Gabon, intending to promote ecological and responsible electricity production. In addition to being a decarbonated energy transmitted directly by the sun, it is a real alternative to traditional infrastructures.
We are a company that does not categorize customers. We aim to help all customers to make their homes self-sufficient with renewable energy, not only solar energy. Gabon does not only produce solar energy, but everything that is renewable energy by using all the natural resources that we have in our country, Gabon, produce efficient energy that can meet the needs of our customers.
The idea of bypassing traditional electricity grids is not new in Africa. In Gabon, gas-fired power plants are no longer sufficient to meet the growing electricity demand. About 40% of the country's electricity comes from hydroelectric and gas-fired plants. Insufficient, according to experts. This energy crisis is leading many households to turn to renewable energy for lighting.
Avant que nous n'arrivions, le client avait un groupe électrogène, un groupe de au moins...
Before we arrived, the client had an 80 kVA generator which was subject to many fuel purchases and maintenance expenses.
Oui, 80 kVA, mais justement était soumis à beaucoup de dépenses pour l'achat du carburant et de la maintenance.
As you can see, we're on a site that is quite remote, so moving a technician each time for the generator's maintenance was more expensive.
Ça lui revenait plus cher. C'est pourquoi il a opté.
This is why he opted for renewable energy solutions, such as solar energy, to enable the site to be lit day and night by solar panels.
À travers les panneaux solaires.
Gabon, a coastal country in Central Africa, benefits from 2,080 hours of sunshine per year. That is just over 68 hours of daylight per month, a real asset for the solar market.
Le Gabon est effectivement un terrain propice pour l'énergie solaire.
Gabon is an ideal location for solar energy in many ways, especially its geographical location because, as you know, Gabon is located on the equatorial line and in the tropics, which makes it bathe in sunlight.
Baigné par le soleil. Voilà. Donc nous sommes
It's naturally sunny and on a very large scale. It would be advantageous for Gabon to equip itself with large solar installations.
Universal access to modern energy is one of the Sustainable Development Goals for the least developed countries. In Gabon, energy sources are mainly hydroelectric and geothermal. Their high costs are reflected in the monthly bills of consumers. Some Gabonese believe solar panels will eventually reduce electricity costs by almost half. Welcome to the second part of our show. Is this the end of the liquidity crisis in Nigeria? One thing is sure, the country's central bank has started distributing billions of naira, the national currency, through ATMs and counters of financial institutions. According to the Nigerian press, most of the money is still old banknotes. It should be recalled that the country was suffocated by a shortage of cash following a reform that aimed at exchanging naira notes for new denominations. Well, it is a dispute that could affect several airlines on the continent. Airbus A220-300 aircrafts have been grounded for several months due to technical problems with their engines. These are engines that are supplied by the American company Pratt & Whitney. Due to the lack of progress in the repairs, Air Tanzania and Air Senegal have held discussions for a joint action for an appeal. Several companies around the world are affected. Egypt Air, for example, has had to withdraw a dozen aircrafts from its operating fleet. Good news for Somalia. The International Monetary Fund has announced that the Horn of Africa country will become eligible for a debt relief package at the end of the year. If the government in Mogadishu pursues its reform to improve tax collection and transparency, its debt could fall to $557 million, or 10% of its gross domestic product. This could boost growth in a country that has been struggling for more than 5 years with unprecedented drought conditions. And we remain in Somalia, where subsistence farmers are struggling against extreme weather conditions, from droughts to unproductive traditional farming practices to locust infestations. Farming in this part of Africa has never been more difficult, but a new generation has decided to take up the challenge to tackle famine. Armed with basic knowledge, enhanced by methods and videos gleaned from the internet, these farmers are starting to grow crops in greenhouses. With less water, fewer pests, greenhouses have become a guarantee of fresh produce. Take a look. Food security in Somalia is an everlasting problem, with millions facing starvation every year. It's mainly due to the erratic weather patterns characterized by heavy floods and severe droughts, but also rudimentary agricultural practices. The outbreak of COVID-19 and locust invasion further compounded an already fragile situation. Amid this escalating situation, young Somalis are now shifting to greenhouse farming to not only boost food production but also earn a living.
I invested in energy and started this project in the countryside to enable my people to take advantage of the greenhouse. The technology has allowed me to plant some vegetables that used to be brought from abroad.
With a seed capital of $10,000 from his family, Sabriye started off the greenhouse farm in the outskirts of Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. He had studied greenhouse farming at the Somali National University, but he says he got more practical knowledge on YouTube and Google. He is among the increasing number of farmers who are embracing this modern and high-yielding technology. His farm generates an average of 100,000 kilograms of an assortment of vegetables every 6 months. At the farm, one of the workers, Mohammed Omar, is spraying the vegetables to rid them of insects and disease. The pesticides and sprayers have to be imported from neighboring countries such as Kenya, since they are not readily available in Somalia. Some of the crops on his farm include bell peppers, tomatoes and cucumbers.
The greenhouse will be a better option for us in the future because out in an open field there's problems like insects. But the greenhouse is safer and it could help get better crops.
For traders, the greenhouse technologies now ensure fresh and quality produce arriving in the market on time. This is a revolution from the past when most of the fresh vegetables were imported from neighboring Kenya and Ethiopia. A kilogram of tomatoes is sold at $1.2 like imported ones. The local produce sells fast since they are fresh and undamaged. Some vegetables were from Nairobi, but they are available now in Mogadishu. In our country, we can get the best fresh products that last for a very long time. Even the plum tomatoes have become local, and we can get them in our country, clean and undamaged vegetables, also without soil. These vegetables are available from the greenhouse in the country.
Tomatoes used to be brought from Ethiopia overland and would be quite damaged by the time we got them. But now we get it fresh. From Kenya, it was expensive cargo and arrived at the airport also damaged. Now we don't have to face this problem. It is grown in the countryside and you can order and get it right away.
Agricultural experts now see the greenhouse technology as one of the most viable options in boosting food production in Somalia, especially in light of adverse climatic conditions.
The field is important for everyone, and especially for the farmers who can produce vegetables each season. We have seen in our country, especially in the capital, that tomato production has stopped temporarily, which caused a price hike, and poor people couldn't afford to buy it. The idea of a greenhouse is better, and it can produce more.
With over half of the population facing dire food shortages every year, Somalia is among the most food insecure countries in the world. However, initiatives such as greenhouse technologies can go a long way in alleviating perennial food shortages in the country. Well, that's it for today. Business Africa is over. I'll see you next week, same time, same channel for Initiative Africa. I will be hosting Joyce Gashugi, PECPO's Kenya country manager, who will talk about the challenges of recycling in Africa. In the meantime, you can catch this show again on our website, africaonair.com, and follow us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment using the hashtag Business Africa. Have a great week, and until next time, goodbye.